Hey there guys, and welcome to another CSGO video from ProGuides. My name is Stray, and today we're bringing you a video that might get you out of a certain pinch that a lot of players can relate to. We've all had those games with those teammates that make the match seemingly completely unwinnable, but it's important to remember that while CSGO is a team game, there are a lot of things you can do to individually to help bring everyone over the line. In short, today's guide focuses on how you can better carry your not so skillful teammates. To begin, let's take a look at how you can improve as a player to put yourself in a position to carry in the first place. Of course, if you want to be able to carry your teammates, you need to be a very skillful player. You need crisp, consistent aim, proper movement, and tremendous game sense. Despite even all of that, once again, CSGO is a team game, so carrying is meant to be hard. Making sure you can always rely on yourself during a match is the key in this case. The first step to carrying is being able to win as many gunfights as possible, and luckily, improving your aim is the easiest thing to do in CSGO, with all these tools, routines, and guides like this one at your disposal. One thing is for sure though, the only way you can improve your aiming skills is by practicing as much as possible. There isn't some special secrets, but there are a lot of different ways to go about aim training, so hopefully we can help you come up with your own routines that are useful and efficient. The level of your aim pretty much depends on the development of your muscle memory. Pointing your gun at the highest level should be thoughtless, so that you can focus on positioning and situational awareness. It should be natural. If you want to get better muscle memory, you simply need to repeat the same routine over and over again. The biggest difference between CSGO and other FPS games is definitely the recoil system. In many other shooter games, bullets will land exactly where you point your mouse. You just need to aim at your target and shoot. That's why reaction time and accuracy are the only things that matter in most FPS games when it comes to taking duels. However, that's not the case in CSGO, where each weapon has its own spray pattern. If you take each weapon in the game and dump a couple full magazines at a wall, you'll notice a pattern for each one. You can control this. Practice and muscle memory will eventually let you place all those shots in the same spot, but of course, patient, persistent practice is required. Newer players just pull their crosshair down and hope they'll hit a target, or they prefer to shoot just one round at a time no matter what. You can get kills doing that, but consistency is what we're looking for if we want to be able to carry a full game of CS. To help you practice, there's maps like Recoil Master in the Community Workshop that are designed exactly for this reason. Even with thousands of hours, players take the time to use maps like this, or simply practice spraying at a wall to refresh their memory. Take the time during your warm-up every time you play on top of your deathmatch, flick practice, or whatever you do to practice your sprays with the main rifles. Within a week or two, you already have a better general idea about what you're doing when you're holding down the trigger. Of course, spraying isn't the only way to shoot in any FPS game, and different techniques are better for different situations. For example, the AK-47 is usually best suited for tapping and burst fire. The advantage of tapping and bursting is how easy it is to control. Burst fire means shooting around 3 to 6 bullets at a time usually. When shooting an AK, the first 10 or so shots go pretty much straight up, allowing for really easy to control before the sideway pattern begins. Short pauses between bursts, and of course shooting one shot at a time, removes the need to learn the entire spray and helps you consistently land hits on your opponent, especially at longer ranges. If you can't control your crosshair properly though, shooting accurate is completely out of the question, especially when your opponent is far from you. Therefore, it's not enough to only lower mouse sensitivity in game, but you also need to turn off mouse acceleration in the Windows control panel by disabling enhanced pointer precision. The median pro sensitivity is 2.1 in-game at 400 DPI, according to ProSettings.net. Now this may seem low at first, but getting used to a sensitivity around that range will help you make more precise movements, and disabling mouse acceleration will keep your flicks consistent. Both of these settings will give you full control over your mouse and crosshair. Next, pre-aiming is something that comes to mind now that we have our mouse settings that we're used to, and a training routine to help with our shooting. One of the most common ways to die is by swinging recklessly into an enemy holding an angle, either taking the bomb site as a T or retaking as a CT. Utility can help with pushing into an unknown area, but even then there's always angles that need to be checked. In CSGO, do as much as you can to never take a fair fight. You should do everything you can to reduce your enemy's advantage and increase yours. If you want to clear angles with the best chance at success, you need to learn how to peek properly and with the correct crosshair placement. The easiest way to practice this is in an empty map, or of course, who would have guessed, by playing the game. Join the terrace side, pick up an AK, and run around the map pre-aiming every common angle to get used to placing your crosshair and checking angles properly one by one. Playing matches and getting experience will teach you where people commonly play, allowing you to understand which spots you should practice pre-aiming for. If you have even a basic level of aim training down, crosshair placement will make your shots go much easier, seeing as you'll already have your aim as close as possible to the target by the time you expose yourself. This is why having map awareness helps so much with landing your shots. Remember that the further you are from a wall, the harder it'll be for your opponents to land the first shot, whether you're holding or peeking an angle. Your player's viewpoint is pretty much right in the center of the in-game model, unlike in real life where you have two eyes slightly offset. The result is that in-game, being really close to an object makes your sides stick out without you being able to see a thing. Staying as far from corners as possible will reduce the enemy's advantage. Using good movement and the right peeking techniques is the next and most underrated aspect of having good aim in CSGO. The most common movement mistakes you'll catch people making are holding W too much and peeking at the wrong speeds. Every angle you clear in CSGO should be done with a strafe and counter strafe. Strafing in FPS games is just a name for sideways movement. Counter strafing is then pretty straightforward. Not literally, it just means pressing the opposite strafe key to stop your movement. Remember that in CS, you need to stop to shoot accurately. Peeking sideways lets you place your crosshair as you peek, and then quickly counter strafe the moment you spot your opponent to take the shot as quickly and accurately as possible. For example, I hold A to get around the half wall at banana and quickly tap D with a pre-aim on the yellow wall corner to stop, immediately fully accurate and ready to fire. Holding W makes you a very easy target going around the corner in a predictable straight line, on top of the fact that quickly switching your middle finger from W to S takes away a lot more time than using your individual index and ring fingers for A and D. Next, if you peek too slow, enemies will spot you first and you won't be able to see them before your death. It's important to clear an angle with as much speed as possible to again reduce the enemy's advantage. On the other hand, if you swing too wide into the open without any information, you may end up fighting 2 or 3 enemy players at once and be too exposed to too many angles at a time. Making sure to go from full speed to a standstill at the right spot each time is also a big part of pre-aiming and can be practiced in an empty server. Taking 1v3 duels is not usually the recommended way to win rounds. If you want to prod for some info before you fully check an area, you can try a shoulder peek or a jiggle peek beforehand. Jiggle peeking and shoulder peeking are very similar, but they're used in very different ways. A jiggle peek is quickly strafing around the corner just enough to see an angle and immediately strafing back. Most of the time, a rifler won't be able to insta-kill you even if you're exposing yourself without shooting back. You can spot enemies around the corner, forcing them to reposition, or giving you an easy pre-fire with your new added info. Jiggle peeking can be risky though. One rifle shot to the arm won't do much, but an opper getting one quick shot off can end the round for you if you try to jiggle without knowing how the enemy likes to play. If you suspect someone has an op, shoulder peeking is the act of exposing just the edge of your shoulder around the corner in the same way. You won't even be able to see them if you do it properly, but most of the time it'll bait a shot. Again, either allowing you to take a fight or forcing the enemy to reposition. As you can see, accuracy and reaction time are not the only things that determine your aim in CS. If you want to win most of your aim duels, you should also learn a few movement patterns. While standing still is the best way to stay accurate, it's important to have good movement so that you know how to play safe with your engagement. With all of these techniques, try to be as unpredictable as possible. If you use the same movement pattern over and over again, enemies will also have an easy time pre-aiming and predicting your plays. All of this practice is wasted if you don't implement what you learn in real situations though. Deathmatch is the best environment for sharpening and practicing your aim. There you'll have dozens of aim duels to see how your aim works and progress against real players. Make absolutely sure not to tilt if you die. It happens, just focus on frags and winning most of your fights so you can bring your skills to competitive matchmaking. So far we helped ensure that you'll do the most you can to be the best individual on your team, but how do you make a team work with the defective parts? Well, you want to focus on map knowledge, economy knowledge, utility usage, and rotation timings to prop your team up to its fullest potential. Map knowledge is something that comes with experience. There's not much to say other than keep playing. Keep experimenting with how you like to hold and attack different areas and keep track of what works. Take the time to go through the learning process map for map and don't worry about losing games while you gather information as a newer player. Let's start off with the terrace side. Watching demos is a great way to build an understanding of Team CS and the different aspects that will help you carry. For terrorists, watching pro demos from the tournament tab in-game can help you come up with movement paths and ways to trade your teammates effectively if they can't win their one-on-one duels. Staying near bad teammates might seem counterintuitive, but trading with them and using the info they gain when they die at least gets them some sort of impact in the round. Watching your own demos can also help you understand which spots you die to most, and by extension, how you can minimize situations where you get caught off guard by certain angles the CTs try to hold. Repeat this process for every map until you have a general understanding of how to take map control both with and without teammates if necessary. For instance, learning how to consistently take banana control on Inferno will give you good chances to open up the round for your team and will also help your team set themselves up for executes. Supporting with nade sets and effective flashes during executes will let your teammate get entries a lot easier as well, hopefully resulting in less 1v5s for you to desperately try after a failed push into unknown territory. You'll also notice that playstyles heavily depend on loadouts, so keep track of what players are carrying too. If you have a read that the CTs might be saving, let your team know nicely that they should try playing more passive for a round to avoid giving rushing pistol players a chance. While playing your CT side, two things are important: how your opponents attempt to take bomb sites and how they defend bomb sites on the post plant. Before the assault even begins, try to read your opponent's playstyle. Some teams like faking a lot and some don't. It's sometimes possible to predict bomb site takes and call for an early rotation depending on the other team's routines, and stacking bomb sites can help squeeze out a win in a round that might otherwise be impossible. It's also very important to understand when to make aggressive plays on the CT side. If you hear a lot of noise across the map as the enemies take control, it might be a good idea to push something in the mid round with a flash. You can catch someone off guard to give your team a man advantage, or secure valuable information if your end of the map is empty, letting your remaining teammates gather for a better chance at a win. At man disadvantage, sitting back and playing scared will just get you killed as an overwhelming force of T players gather up and pushes a weak bomb site. Trying to trade a kill by being aggressive later on depending on the information you have across the map can also help in this case. If you already have the lead in terms of manpower, your best bet is to just sit back and wait for the T's to make a push into your crosshairs. When your team does lose a bomb site though, the most difficult situation in the game begins: the retake. Look at your demos once again for common spots the terrorists like to use in order to defend their explosives, and check those first when attempting to retake a bomb site. Finding nade throws to flush out those defending T's is something players don't think about as often as using nades on the T side to originally attack, but it's equally as important. A single demo doesn't tell you much though, so take the time to watch a few of your own demos and make it a habit as you rank up to keep gathering information and keep improving as you play more and more. Again, the economy comes into play on the CT side when deciding how to approach the round. Try to remember what your opponents were carrying after every round and keep an eye on the win-loss chart on the scoreboard. If you've won multiple gun rounds in a row without letting the enemy plant the bomb, it can sometimes be safe to switch up your playstyle to play passive and predict an eco rush. Did you just drop a few rounds yourself? Then look out for ops, because your opponent could be swimming in cash and ready to lay you out. Try to not make any reckless peeks without nades or a teammate ready to trade. When you reach a higher rank, you'll notice that your opponents and your teammates follow the unwritten economy rules a lot more closely, increasing the accuracy with which you can estimate your opponent's gears. If you're watching this video, unfortunately, it might mean that your team doesn't exactly follow these rules themselves. Sometimes it's best to follow what your team is buying before you make a decision, even if you have money for a full buy. If your entire team messed up last round and they have no money, it might be a better idea to save so that you don't waste your own equipment on a bad round. Remember that you don't need 5 defuse kits on the CT side. 1 kit per bomb site is enough in most cases. On top of that, you can skip buying a helmet on CT side if you're 100% sure the enemy has a full buy of ops, AKs, and SGs. Simply put, if you get hit by one of those in the face, it won't matter if you have a helmet anyways. You can save a full $350 now free to spend on utility, upgrading your gun, or just barely having enough to buy your teammates who force bought last round. Utility is one of the most important aspects of CSGO overall. Knowing key smokes, molotovs, and flashes is crucial for both taking and defending bomb site with efficiency and consistency. There are thousands of videos on YouTube that show lineups for any nade you could possibly think of, but what's most important is knowing when to throw them. Again, demo watching is how you'll come to understand this. Your own demos will tell you whether the nades you throw are effective. Did they flush out the enemies? Did they stop a push properly? Meanwhile, pro players know the best timings for their smokes and mollies on the CT sides to stall the Ts and let their teammates rotate in time. Make sure you understand what info you should react to so that you don't throw your counter utility out too early, but also make sure not to pull out nades too late, getting caught with your pants down. The final touches for the CT side are your rotation routes and bomb site positioning. How you position yourself in a site and how you react from the information you have entirely decides your capacity to carry on the CT side. For this example, imagine you're a B player on Mirage. Let's say you hear a lot of noise across the map and there's 5 red dots on your map at the A site. On your way to the site, do as much as you can to possibly help your teammates before you can even get there. I like to throw these basic flashes over a CT spawn that pop behind my team, partially blinding the enemy. Next, I'll throw the smoke from right outside market into Palace to help retake if need be, or to stop a late peek from an Opper into jungle. Small details like that during your rotation can help make sure you don't arrive at a bomb site that's completely overrun by the enemy already. Of course, try to be as quick as possible as well. Enemies distracted by your teammates trying to hold might present you with a good opportunity to make an unexpected play as you arrive. At worst, you try to trade them 1 for 1. At best, you could get a multi-kill on the unsuspecting Ts and win the round. Of course, you'll need to be able to hold a bomb site yourself, and being able to play solo can be a huge help, allowing your team to stack bomb sites on some rounds without the need for any info in the first place. As a solo player, it might depend on the bomb site, but on Mirage B, stalling for time and good communication are your best bet. Instead of taking a rush head on and getting traded, try to throw some utility down to stay alive as long as possible, letting your team arrive to support you as best as they can. If I'm B and I spot the push, my 2 go-to nades are this balcony molly, forcing Ts to jump out of the window straight into my sights, and this smoke at bench that'll stop Ts from being able to take you out on the moment they leave apps. These tips won't necessarily guarantee that you will win every game or carry every team, but hopefully your chances of winning will become significantly higher and you will put yourself in a better position to win a lot more of your games. With time and practice, I hope that you use all this information to further hone your abilities in CSGO, and let us know in the comment section below if you already knew these tips or if there's something else that we left out. And as always, be sure to go to ProGuides.com if you're in need of coaching. And that'll be it for this video. Until next time, again, my name is Trey. I hope that you guys are staying safe, both in-game and out. Peace.